Okay, welcome everybody. Today I'm going to talk about spreadsheet cell references. This is Tom Gallagher, University of Montana. So cell references, I'll identify the three different types that we'll be dealing with. Our first, which is the default, is a relative cell reference, and this is signified by the column, letter, and then the row number. As we get through these different cell references, the big difference is going to be not so much when we create the cell references, it's going to be what we do with them. So if we grab the fill handle and do a drag down or drag across the fill handle, they will behave differently. If we do copy and paste, they will behave differently. With the relative cell reference, if we either copy and paste or if we fill down or fill across, what we'll find is that cell references that are relative will increment. So if we pull down, we will find that every row will be incremented. If we pull across, we will find every column will be incremented. Okay. When we want the cell reference to stay the same, we create an absolute cell reference. This is signified with a $ in front of both the row letter or the column letter and then the row number. And then with a mixed cell reference, we have kind of the best of both worlds where in our first example, row A, and then we have an absolute, column A with an absolute row 1. We pull on the fill handle. A will increment as we go across, but 1 will not. And then if we're using a mixed cell reference where we have absolute A and relative 1, what we'll find is that A never changes, but the row number will increment. Okay, let's exemplify this now. And I think the best application for this is to do a multiplication table. Something I used to have to do when I was a kid, and I bet everybody else has been through this. In fact, rather than me write all these out like this, let me just use my fill handle. I'm going to go from 1, let's go out to 10. Okay, I'll do the same thing here. I'll go down. Again, I'm grabbing the fill handle, and I'll pull that down to 10. Okay, and then let's give this a little bit of formatting. We'll just put a little color in here. Oh, there's a nice shade of kind of a rose color. All right, what we want to do with times table is in this cell we're going to take the result of the product of 1 and 1. Here will be a result of product of 2 and 1. Here will be the product of 3 and 1, etc. Okay, but instead of using numbers, we use cell references. So we can say equals whatever's in cell A2 times whatever's in cell B1. And I hit that, and of course gives me the right value. All right, and both of my, if I look at my my formula here, both these are relative references. Now what I want to do, rather than fill in 100 cells, I want to just drag across and then drag down. So I'll try that. I drag across, and I drag down, and I have nothing but garbage there. That didn't work. Okay, so I need to use a little bit of mixed references here, or at least relative references. Let's try this. What if I left, let's leave A2 as a absolute, do it by hitting F4, and B1 will be relative. Let's see how that works out. Okay, so I pull this across now. Okay, appears to work, right? So I got relative B1 and absolute A2. And then, of course, I'm going to come down here, and a lot of you have already predicted this. It's going to blow up on me. Well, it doesn't really blow up, but it doesn't give me the right result. Okay, so if I go down here, we're still using absolute A2 and then relative B2, C2, etc. across here. Okay, so we're going to try something different here. All right, and if we look at our cell references here, okay, we've used a combination of absolute and relative. We're going to have to use some sort of mixed cell reference. So it's going to be either a combination of these two guys right here. All right, so process elimination, if nothing else, will get us through this. All right, so I go across here. Let's try and figure this out here. I want A always to remain the same, but I want the 2 to be incremented. Is that right? Because the next time down I want it to be 3 and then 4 and then 5. Let's try that. And if I pull this down now, okay, well, not quite right still. All right, let's work with, we got to work on this value right here. So let's take our cell reference. Let's put a mixed here where our row or our column will always stay the same, and then we'll change our row. Okay, so this will be B1. Is that right? Or I'm sorry, our row will always be absolute, and then our column's going to change B, C, D, etc. Let's try that, and I'll pull down with that. See how we make out. Okay, so here went from A2, and I'll hit this. So I show formulas here. Look here. Okay, we incremented 3, 4, 5, 6, but we left A as absolute, so that particular column never changes. Here, our row looks like it's going to change, but our row is going to be the same, but it looks like my column's going to change. So let me copy. I copied this down. Let me try copying this across now. Seems to work there as well. And pull it down. And voila, we have our multiplication table. And again, we're using a combination of an absolute and a relative reference, also known as a mixed reference.